My name is Jamina Russell, and I'm actually a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. I've lived in Brooklyn for 10 years. So I've lived in Flatbush for a number of years. I lived on Ocean and Parkside for about 6 years, and then I just moved down the block for a larger apartment 2.5 years ago. But I've always loved this neighborhood. Always thought I'd stay around in this area. I love Prospect Park. I love the culture, the food, the music, everything about this neighborhood. So I actually lived in the neighborhood, worked in the neighborhood, and my son goes to daycare in the neighborhood as well. So I lived here at 295 Parkside for about 2.5 years. And once I moved in, I started to see the building kind of deteriorate, and I saw a lot of issues related to my apartment and the building in general. So until further notice, I'm still kind of very much in the neighborhood, and I'm just going into Manhattan to sleep and then coming back for life. Anybody home?
No.
No? Okay.
I've been here almost 4 years in Flatbush, and in that time my rent has gone up a lot, even though I'm in a stabilized building. And it was in those initial rent increases that I started thinking that I really need to know the law on what my rights are as a tenant, because I think I'm getting screwed over. So like last year my rent for this apartment went up $300, even though, you know, for rent stabilized buildings it should be going up 0%. So that's a loophole that really doesn't make any sense, and really means that there's no such thing as stabilization or affordable housing in New York City. Like, let's be honest.
We've had issues with rodents. There was issue with door safety, building safety. There's been issues in my apartment, particularly with peeling paint, and just a lack of appropriate maintenance and keep up. And calling her or asking her to fix things, she would sometimes like kind of yell or say it's an issue that you've created as a tenant. And then she asked if I could store a stove in my apartment at one point. She was repairing a bathroom for someone else on the second floor, and they didn't have use of their bathroom for about 2 or 3 weeks, so they were using my bathroom. The apartment, you know, could be cold for days and days, and calling her and saying, hey, the apartment is cold, the heat's not working, there's a draft coming in the windows, oh, put on some layers of clothes, put on more layers of clothes. That would be the response I would get in calling her about heat. And a draft coming in through the windows would be to put on more layers. The bathroom tiles have been painted over rather than replaced or cleaned properly. She painted over the tiles, and it was something that I realized was an issue once I moved in, because once the tile would get wet and all the moisture in the bathroom, the paint would just peel, or I had a problem with mold sometimes accumulating on the tiles. So there was actually a big hole in the wall after repeated moisture would drip. The wall, a portion of the wall actually started to fall out. So she sent someone a few times to patch over that hole in the wall. And she told me to hang a shower curtain, a plastic shower curtain, on the back end of the shower, like on the side, to keep the wall dry. The wall continued to get wet, and then once the painted tiles became a repeated problem, she had someone plaster off all of the tile. So now this is a material that when it gets wet, it kind of creates like a mudslide type of effect because it's just running. So that became another issue with the shower and bathing. You just constantly have these wall crumbs running constantly down into the bath water or into the tub, and it just creates for an unsanitary condition.
During that time, more of the tenants in the building were talking, and so we started talking, and then we started meeting, and we decided, okay, like, let's do a tenant association because there's some things in the building we really want to fix. And so we wrote her, like 3 letters, and it was only after the 3rd letter plus a video that we got her to give us a new front door, because we were literally getting locked in the building. Like, the knob would fall off in your hand and you couldn't get out. One of our first big things as a tenant association was really fighting and coming together to get a front door that could lock, that would not lock tenants in, that would not lock tenants out, and that would actually lock. So all these things were not happening in this previous door that we had. And we got it, and it was a big win, and it looked really nice. It's like glass front, and it like got one of those special key that you have to give a $25 deposit to the landlord to get a key. And a couple weeks ago, the bar, when you open the door, you push a bar, it stopped popping back out, so it would just stay stuck. And you can tell it's like been oiled. Like, I see that they're like putting the W40 or whatever in, but it's not working, and it's just like, we worked really hard, we get this front door, we get it to lock, and like, you bought something so cheap that like in under a year, this door is less than a year old, it is already malfunctioning. Like, not only that, but you literally never put the building number on. So like, Jamina wanted to get a package from UPS, FedEx, and she was afraid that they wouldn't stop here. So she wrote 295 in big letters and pasted it and like taped it onto the window, and this was a year ago, and it's still there. And a couple of us have asked Ms. Todman, we were like, hey, do you think you might, you know, put the numbers up permanently? And she's like, no, this works. We get a leak sometimes that comes over the kitchen, and it's like really dirty water, and it runs into the cabinets and it gets in everything. And then they'll come in and they'll fix it, but they never fix the ceiling, so it's like crumbling. Over the summer, our kitchen pipes burst, and the whole kitchen flooded. It was all down the hallway. Like, it was really disgusting. It was really bad, and we lost like a lot of like everything that we stored under the kitchen sink. We had to like throw out and get new because it was like all destroyed. And the floor dipped like under the kitchen sink where you stand to like do the dishes. It started dipping really bad, and I've recently noticed it's really getting worse. So my roommate of the time was concerned about the structural integrity of the building. Basically, he was like, I don't want to put a foot through the floor. So he called Ms. Todman up, and he was like, maybe you want to come look at this? I'm all concerned. He was like, look, it's dipping here. And she went over, she looked at it, she stood on it, and then she started jumping up and down. She literally jumped up and down on the floor, and she was like, it seems fine to me. Look, I'm literally jumping up and down on the floor. It's fine. It didn't break. Floor is fine. Don't bother me. Why am I here? Like, so she left, and I came out and I was like, oh my God, did that just happen? And he was like, yeah, that just happened, and you know what? It's like an inch deeper now because she jumped on it. We have mice. It's gross. We've sealed them up. We've had the exterminator come in and do everything from like glue traps to poison to the silicone stuff that you like seal the cracks with. They just eat through it. They don't go on the glue traps. They're smarter than that. And then you see the trail of feces everywhere. It's like all along like the walls. I was cleaning up the other week. I don't know if I already said this, but I cleaned up like a row of like mouse poop by the wall. And then recently, like, I saw, oh, it's back by the heater again. Because I thought maybe I'm not hearing them so much, maybe they're not here. No, they're still here. And she just won't do anything about it. We had a leak downstairs. The person who lives below me had a leak, and it was coming from our bathroom. So a person came in to like fix the leak. And what he noticed was that when our bathtub was when our bathtub was installed, it was installed like by people who probably didn't know what they're doing, I guess, because the bathtub goes, it by the window, it slopes down into the pipe that like connects down and has heat coming out of it. I don't know. It's a pipe in the bathroom. So whenever you take a shower or whatever, water goes kind of over here and it runs down into the pipe as opposed to running the other way. So you can never clean, and there's like this weird ledge, so you can't get the water out. So it just kind of pools there and then it goes down. So of course it's gonna leak. This is a temporary, he said it, he's like, this is a temporary solution. I'm gonna talk to Ms. Todman about this, because really the bathtub needs to be fixed in this way. It's gonna leak. Maybe she'll do something if I move out and she wants to renovate. Right. That's the only time you can get her to do anything for your apartment, once it's not your apartment anymore.
Asking her repeatedly to repair things or fix things, and she was not. I just began to become concerned for the safety of my child within the apartment, because having mice running around and you have droppings and you have a toddler who's playing on the floor is not really the best environment for him. And also with the paint chipping and peeling, I'm sure there's lead paint somewhere underneath the layers and layers of paint. So I ended up deciding to move out just out of concern for my son. I did want to be here to stand with the Tenant Association and get things done, but as a parent, I also have to think about what's best for my 2-year-old.
So now that we've been organizing, when I went to renew my lease this year, I got a letter from Ms. Todman's lawyer saying that I was illegally subletting in my apartment, and that I was charging more than I'm legally allowed to charge in a stabilized unit, which caught me by surprise because I had no idea that I was doing these things, because I have 2 roommates and they live here permanently with me, so we're not subletting anything, and also we are all like paying the amount that is legally required. So I was like, that's an interesting story. And then she accused us of having an illegal dog, which we don't. We have an emotional support animal here, which is protected under like the Fair Housing Act, and it's protected federally, so I'm not sure what she's talking about there. She accused me of also not letting repair people in to fix a leak, which was not true either. So it was a whole bunch of things, which was very clearly harassment, because it's like, you literally made this up, you literally have no proof, you sent it to a John Doe. No John Doe lives here. This is a 3-women apartment, thank you very much.